Home is the most comfortable place in the universe. When you're feeling down and want to escape from life's pressures for an hour or a day, you come home. Home is where we are truly ourselves, where you can move around freely without fearing the judgmental eyes of others, or not. Are we really alone at home except for our loved ones? Why are we so sure that no strangers could be living in our home without our knowledge? You might laugh and say, I know my house, there's no way another person could live there without me knowing. But the internet is full of real stories where complete strangers lived undetected in others' homes, hiding in walls, occupying attics, and even sleeping under the beds of unsuspecting homeowners. For such clandestine residents, the term frogging was coined. The origin of this slang is unclear, but some explanations link it to the word frog, suggesting that a person engaging in frogging can hop from place to place, for example, to avoid getting caught. One such case terrified the entire internet, featuring numerous perverse acts that evoke unbearable fear. If you find hard, I don't recommend watching my video, because after hearing what I'm about to tell you, you won't feel the same. To those who remain, enjoy the viewing. Let's begin. In 2018, Brittany and James Campbell got married in Las Vegas, Nevada. Their love story began many years ago in high school. As inseparable friends, they supported each other through all the school hardships. However, after graduation, their paths diverged. James joined the Navy and Brittany went to university to study psychology. Years later, fate brought them together again at a class reunion. Both had faced significant challenges. James had married, fathered 2 sons, and endured the tragic loss of his wife in a car accident. Brittany also married, but her marriage was unsuccessful and she couldn't have children. This reunion was a turning point in their lives. They immediately felt that the spark between them was still there and soon realized they were meant for each other. A year later, in 2019, James, serving the US Navy, was transferred to a naval base in Hawaii. The family moved into a cozy 2-story house in Honolulu, in a quiet and a safe neighborhood surrounded by green gardens and lush tropical plants. James's children quickly adapted to the new place, delighted by the beaches and the ocean. However, starting in June 2019, strange things began happening in their home. Brittany first noticed items scattered all over the garage, even from still unpacked boxes. She called James to show him, as she believed he wouldn't believe her otherwise. The couple realized that nothing was missing, so it wasn't a robbery. They asked the children if they had made the mess, but the boys denied it. They blamed the neighbor's dog, which had accidentally gotten into the garage, and soon forgot about the incident. But not for long. A few days later, James and the kids left early in the morning. Brittany was home alone when she suddenly heard the front door slam. She thought her husband had returned and called out his name, but received no answer. She looked out the window and didn't see James's car in a driveway. She checked every room in the house but found no one. That evening, as the Campbell family gathered for dinner, Brittany detailed what had happened that day. James dismissed her story, suggesting she was imagining things and there was nothing to worry about. Brittany insisted she wasn't paranoid. They ended up having a big argument and slept in separate bedrooms. Awoken in the middle of the night by a sudden fright, Brittany tried to rouse James. Still angry, James brushed her off. Brittany checked on the kids, went downstairs, and saw that the front door was open, even though she was sure she had closed it. She told James about this, but he again didn't believe her, sarcastically suggesting she was being forgetful. In the following days, as Brittany tried to make sense of what was happening, she noticed some of her favorite items disappearing and then mysteriously reappearing. This strange phenomenon increased her anxiety. Her nights became increasingly unsettling as she woke up to find her laptop's webcam on, despite remembering to turn it off before bed. Even more disturbingly, doors whether the front or back were often found open, despite her certainty about locking them. Despite her mounting anxiety, James didn't take her concerns seriously, attributing them to her imagination. For Brittany, however, this growing mystery became increasingly oppressive, making her consider seeking help from a psychotherapist. In September 2019, the mystery reached its peak when James found himself in a similar eerie situation. Alone at home, he was playing the piano when he suddenly felt an intense gaze on him. He turned abruptly and saw a silhouette moving slowly towards the back of the house through the window. His heart raced as he ran outside, but was met only by emptiness. Optimistically, he convinced himself it was probably just a curious neighbor attracted by the music. That same evening, the Campbell family gathered at an outdoor cinema, hoping for a peaceful respite. Brittany, wanting to bring her favorite blanket, grew anxious when she couldn't find it. However, upon returning home, they discovered it neatly laid out on the couch as if someone had prepared it for them. James decided that they all needed a change of scenery and a break. The Campbell family went on a week-long vacation, hoping that the rest would dispel the strange doubts and mysterious events that had been plaguing them. However, upon returning home on September 20 of 2019, their hopes for peace were dashed. James's bicycle, usually stored in a garage, was suddenly found outside, and the garage was once again in complete disarray. This was too much. Something inside James snapped, and he resolutely headed for the front door to finally confront whatever was happening in his home. When he tried to open the front door, he felt resistance from the other side. James managed to open it just enough to peer through the crack, and was met with the gaze of an unfamiliar man who calmly but firmly stated, "This is not your home." James forced his way into his own house and discovered that the stranger, a man in his 20s, was dressed in James's clothes and holding a sledgehammer. James managed to restrain the intruder while Brittany called the police. The Campbells hardly recognized their home, which was in total chaos. Dirty pots and pans were piled on top of each other. The piano and sound system were smashed, and items were scattered everywhere. The master bedroom looked even worse. On the bed lay a towel with knives and various surgical instruments on it. Nearby were some medical drugs, and on a chair was Brittany's old laptop. When they opened the laptop, they were horrified. The files contained detailed notes and video recordings of their private lives, clearly made by the intruder in their absence. A document titled "The Trials of Omniverse Rehabilitation of Rat-like People" contained shocking details about the family's life. Details only someone eavesdropping on their private conversations could know. It described not only their daily activities, but also their most intimate moments, such as their plans to have a child together. This discovery robbed them of any sense of security, showing that the invasion of their lives was much deeper and more terrifying than they had imagined. They should give up on having another child and focus on the ones they have, wrote the Observer. These lines were only the beginning of the horrifying text. The documents also included plans for performing surgical procedures on all family members to change their genders. Additionally, there was a list of drugs for omnivore testing. Brittany's old laptop's browsing history was equally disturbing, with searches like hand amputation, bi-surgical table, how to perform surgery at home, and other similar topics. This revealed how far the intruder's madness had gone, and how serious the threat of the Campbells was. When the police arrived, they arrested the intruder, who is identified as a 23-year-old Ezekiel Zayas. It was assumed that Ezekiel had been secretly living in the attic of the Campbell house, either continuously or intermittently. It remained a mystery how he had managed to remain invisible for so long. The arrested intruder refused to comment on his action. Brittany Campbell admitted in an interview that it was easier for them to believe in a ghost than to consider such a possibility. Ezekiel Zayas was charged with unlawful entry into a dwelling following his arrest, but he was released pending trial. However, he was soon arrested again for vandalism at a Buddhist temple, adding to his list of crimes. In 2020, Zayas killed his cellmate, leading to new charges. A psychological examination found him insane, and he was subsequently committed to a psychiatric facility in Hawaii. His current fate is unknown. Following the series of horrific events that took place in their home, the Campbells decided they needed to start anew elsewhere. They could no longer stay in a house that reminded them of the nightmares they had endured. Thus ends their story, which could have been much more tragic. Fortunately, Brittany and James trust their instincts and took action. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and support this small channel. Together, we can achieve great things. Until next time.